Hey everybody, this is Dave Cooper from davecooper.live, and we are doing a follow-up session today from the Housing Innovation Alliance Staycation event that happened yesterday. And sitting with me today is Christopher Ptomey from the Urban Land Institute. Christopher, thanks so much for being on the show.
Great to be with you, Dave. I'm happy to be here and happy to talk about the Alliance Staycation. It was a really great event yesterday.
Yeah, it really was a great event. So before we hop into that, why don't we talk a little bit about who Christopher Ptomey is and all about what you do with the Urban Land Institute?
Sure, absolutely. I'm the executive director of the Terwilliger Center of Housing for Housing at the Urban Land Institute. And the Terwilliger Center manages all of the Institute's housing portfolio, residential development portfolio. And so what we seek to do is ensure that throughout the country, developers are able to provide households with the housing choices that they both need and afford. Unfortunately, over the last number of years in this country, we've had substantial housing shortages all around the country. It's often difficult for families, not just low-income families, but middle-income families as well, to find housing we need. So we help identify and research the barriers that prevent housing solutions from going into place. And we work directly with our members in the cities and communities where they're working to implement those solutions and again, create the housing choices that really all families need to thrive and be successful.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think it's something that's very much needed, especially with the crisis of housing that we currently have. And after COVID, we're probably going to have even a bigger crisis with affordable housing, with so many people being unemployed and losing jobs, right? So, I think it's great. So just to clarify on that, you guys basically work with members in your community, cities, whatever the case may be, come up with the data, help do the research for the product for that particular area, and then help the developer or the city implement those projects?
That's right. That's a lot of what we do at the center, and we have more than 40,000 members at the Urban Land Institute, and
Wow.
many of those have faced the challenges that communities are facing in residential development already, or they have seen the kinds of housing needs in their own communities and have helped meet those needs. And so a lot of what we spend our time doing at the center is connecting cities and developers who are having these challenges today to those who have already faced them, those who've already learned the lessons, who know the way to go about solving these problems and really breaking through what can be a difficult process to get new or improved housing on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that means you brought a whole lot of knowledge to this event yesterday, which I think is very cool, because we talked all day about innovation, new ideas, a lot about COVID and what's coming out of this and changes that are happening. What drove you to come to the Staycation event this year?
Well, I always have keep my eye out for opportunities to engage with innovators. It's a lot of what we try to look for at the Terwilliger Center. We want to see not just the best practices that have been out there, but those that are emerging. And certainly in the kind of pandemic environment that we're in currently, a new lens is being placed on a lot of those things that we thought were best practices. And there's some new practices that we thought were good ideas that are really rising to the top now. And I think the Staycation gave us an opportunity to look at some of the unique technology that's out there today. I think technology is going to be a much more important tool in residential development post-COVID-19. I think we're already seeing, it provides so many opportunities to accomplish things without having to have the in-person contact. Right. That is causing challenges right now, and just the efficiencies that it creates, the more effective ways of dealing with problems while having these additional kind of health and other benefits. It was fantastic to have the opportunity to see some of that. And frankly, I'm looking forward. The Terwilliger Center and the Housing Innovation Alliance are partnering together and are going to be working together over the next months and years. And this was my first opportunity to actually directly participate in an alliance event.
Right.
And I just see there's an enormous amount of alignment between our organizations. I think we have a lot of common members already, but the ability to kind of cross-fertilize, expose both of our members to some information, some research, some ideas that they haven't seen before is a really great opportunity. And I think yesterday's event really reinforced for me what an effective convener of innovators that the Alliance is, and how they're really providing a unique perspective on the single family housing space.
Yeah, and they are. You know, they're bringing people like yourself and others together, and creating a community of thought leaders to really think through some of these big, heavy issues that we're facing, and help look to what the future is going to bring. So, yeah, no doubt, I couldn't have said it better myself. That was great way to put it. And I think that you guys will have a awesome collaboration between the two organizations, because you really have kind of the same mentality in a lot of ways, and like you said, the same members. So the thinking part's probably going to be the easy part. It's going to be pulling everybody together to collaborate and drive something home, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely, and seeing the way the Alliance does this, I think just the platform, the technology platform that the Alliance is using, is better than a lot that I've seen over the last few weeks of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Nice to see a really well thought out platform, really effective. I didn't run into any technology challenges with the whole event, and probably have some lessons to learn there from the Alliance as well.
Sure. Well, you know, it was amazing. It was not, you know, your typical Zoom call.
Yeah.
You know, it was very interactive. There were rooms you can go into. There were breakout rooms, and the way the interaction was set up was quite amazing. You really logged in as if you were there, and that you were able to communicate with people. So, yeah, I heard this from a lot of people yesterday as well, that it was, you know, by far one of the best events that they have gone to at all, ever online versus just during COVID, right?
Yeah, no question.
Perfect. Well, let's jump into some questions. How about it?
Fantastic.
Christopher, what are the top 3 to 5 takeaways from this event for you?
Well, I think my top takeaway is that you can bring a really high level group of innovators and presenters together in an online format, have a conversation that moves, and
Right.
that is engaging, that you have a chance to participate in, and that you're really coming away from feeling like you've learned something. And I think with the kind of new importance of the online meeting space, that's not always the case. And I think
Right.
just being a really effective meeting done with such high level presenters was fantastic. So just from a process standpoint, I thought it was fabulous. From a content standpoint, though, I really loved the technology innovation that was presented,
Mhm.
opportunities that provides, both looking at kind of traditional needs, relationship support, different kinds of things you've always had in the housing value chain and customer relationships, but also looking at putting a COVID-19 lens on that and saying, you know, how technology meet these needs that we've always known about, but also provide us this important side benefit of enabling us to do things without necessarily having to do it in person. And I think there were some great examples of that given. I think the other thing that I really enjoyed was, again, a kind of new lens being put on some of the ideas that have been bubbling up over the last few years about housing models. And I enjoyed some of the conversation in the think tank session about the auxiliary dwelling units, accessory. That's something that we've done some work on at the Terwilliger Center. And I think thinking about housing as a service and how that might fit with ADUs was an interesting piece of that conversation that may have shown some opportunities moving forward. I think ADUs could be a really critical tool in meeting affordability needs, and frankly, in the current environment, just helping people to make ends meet. So I found the conversation great, and I really loved kind of hearing a kind of market rate developers talking about community land trust and some of the other kinds, limited equity co-ops, some of the other kinds of ownership models out there that can really expand ownership as a rung in the housing ladder, make it an opportunity for more people than it's been. I think there's a lot of latent demand for ownership that folks say, well, millennials don't necessarily want to be homeowners. Well, they haven't necessarily been able to afford to become homeowners. And I think some of these other kinds of ownership models can make that a reality in ways that it's not been, and also make it a lot easier for folks. So I really enjoyed those pieces of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. It sounds like you didn't get any information out of this thing.
None at all. All that.
But it's funny. It's been I've had a few of these conversations, like I was saying earlier, and people were saying there was so much great information being shared and great knowledge being shared that they were writing books. They were trying to write so much down and keep up with it, even though
Exactly.
the Housing Innovation Alliance is going to share a lot of this stuff as well. So perfect. Yeah. So favorite moments of the day. Did you have any favorite moments throughout the day on this virtual event?
Well, I think my favorite moment was that think tank session as a whole. That was alternative housing models, just because it was very interactive session, and it really seemed the ideas were bubbling up kind of as the session moved forward. It was a really great conversation. I thought there were really good questions that were asked and answered, and that enriched the conversation. So and we spent a lot of time at the ULI Terwilliger Center looking at kind of alternative business models, alternative housing models, as opportunities to improve the availability of housing to households up and down the income scale. And so that was one of the richest conversations around those issues that I've been able to be involved with in a while. So I really appreciated it.
Perfect. All right. So the biggest question of the day: what is one thing from the event that you can implement right now, tomorrow? But why wait till tomorrow is what I say. Implement it now. You have one takeaway that we can implement.
I think since the Terwilliger Center, we're not building anything at the Terwilliger Center, so it was more about understanding and just seeing a really super effective online meeting, and focused on the issues that we care about at the Terwilliger Center. So, from a kind of association organizational standpoint rather than a builder standpoint, I think I got a lot of value out of it, certainly from the content, but in terms of what I can actually apply, I just think that the way the meeting is run, the technology platform that's used, all is really effective, and I'm certainly going to take some of those lessons learned back to my own work.
Yeah, I love it. Well, they did. They stepped it up quite a few notches compared to what's been going on out there, and that was really impressive to see. So, Christopher Ptomey, Urban Land Institute, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Dave. Thanks for the opportunity. Take care.
Yeah, you as well. And I'm sure we're going to catch up in the future. I think we have a whole lot to learn from you and the Urban Land Institute, and I look forward to that in the near future. So that's a wrap, everybody. Housing Innovation Alliance Staycation event. This is the day after, and we're still following up with people who attended. Christopher Ptomey, Urban Land Institute. Christopher, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks again, Dave. Take care.
All right. Bye now.